The royal world has been flipped upside down. This isn't a PR scandal. This isn't a tabloid rumor that dies in 24 hours. This is the kind of revelation that detonates through Buckingham Palace like a grenade, and it all comes down to one woman's alleged confession. The surrogate, the real mother, and what she's finally revealed could undo years of royal ceremony, media manipulation, and carefully crafted deception. According to a viral explosion of videos, leaked posts, and insider speculation.
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard.
She spreads her legs, she hikes her dress, she circles her genitals.
She talks like she's a one-woman band. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens to her.
And still being a mom.
That
still
is
being a mom.
This series, and they'll believe it. They'll believe the smears about Britain and our monarchy, that we're a bunch of bigoted and hateful people. They even blamed Brexit for the racism which apparently was aimed at Meghan Markle, which is just completely absurd. But by far the most sickening part of this show for me was the constant use of Harry's...
The woman who actually gave birth to Meghan and Harry's children has broken her silence. And what she's saying doesn't just contradict palace press releases, it nukes them. Suddenly, those glowing maternity photos Meghan released don't look like tradition. They look like props. That cradled baby bump under a designer dress? That perfectly staged Oprah moment? Now they're under fire as a performance, not a pregnancy. If what the surrogate says is true, Meghan didn't just fool the public. She fooled the monarchy. And in the royal world, that's not a PR misstep. That's betrayal. Because this isn't about one woman's body. It's about the bloodline, the royal lineage, the foundation of the crown itself.
Did you see my baby mama dance? I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you, the timing of that, we maybe watched it like 20 times yesterday, and I was like, is that her?
Oh my God.
Is that Prince Harry there with the fingers and the, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, by the way, that wasn't yesterday.
No,
that was 4 years ago. So it's also a really great reminder that with all the noise or whatever people do, there's still a whole life, a real, authentic, fun life that's happening behind the scenes. I'm just grateful that now, being back on social as well, I have a place where I can share it on my own terms.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. It's so authentic, isn't it?
And if the truth was covered up, if Meghan faked this part of her motherhood journey, then the institution didn't just get played, it got infiltrated. She's no longer hiding. That's the part that's blowing people's minds. According to a viral YouTube video now exploding across platforms, the woman who allegedly carried Meghan and Harry's first child, and possibly the second, has finally stepped forward. Not with a whisper, with a roar. In the clip, her voice shakes but doesn't crack. She claims she was contracted to carry the child, instructed to stay silent, and then erased from the narrative entirely once the deal was done.
Hey, lowly cameraman, come over here and try some fried chicken. Try the fried chicken. Try the fried chicken. We need to make it look like I actually care about my camera crew. Come get some fried chicken. Act like you're having fun. Act like you're having fun.
Now, we already know that many studios are beginning to really find her very repulsive based on her behavior, not just in the public eye, but also within Netflix, all right? Now, what's interesting here has a lot more to do with the entire Meghan Markle firings situation and exactly what's going on there ever since the viral video.
No recognition, no acknowledgement, not even basic protection, just a quiet payout and a demand to disappear. But she didn't disappear. Not really. She waited. And now, with Meghan's image unraveling and online pressure mounting, she's decided to go public. Her claims are explosive. That Meghan wore a prosthetic belly for public appearances. That carefully angled photographs were staged to enhance the illusion. That hospital visits were dodged, and the media was manipulated.
It really went viral across not just social media, but also within the corporate ladder.
As ever, her new company, the very first thing she said was, look, you know, when I had the TIG, which was her previous lifestyle website, you know, I loved cooking and I loved gardening and being a hostess, and that she basically said I had to keep my light under a bushel at this time because of the royal family. Then we get her show, her Netflix show.
It's about an hour-long cab ride. never seen his grandchildren. This show is packed with the kind of spurious claims and hypocrisy that have become the Sussex signature. We learned they began making videos about their heroic journey 6 months before their Netflix deal was even announced, and right at the start of a pandemic that was killing.
She even suggests that palace insiders were either misled or complicit. And the scariest part? She says she has documentation, messages, schedules, proof. If this is true, it doesn't just rewrite a single chapter in royal history, it rewrites the entire script. The idea of Meghan Markle as the fresh-faced, trailblazing royal mom, it dissolves in an instant. What's left is something darker, something orchestrated, something deceptive. And inside Buckingham Palace, officials are allegedly already in crisis mode.
Everybody says she's a bully, she's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch. About the end of every episode, it says, like, the starring, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Yes.
That's how she's...
Hello all. Sorry we're late. Our flight was delayed.
It was mint, though. Tell them we were in mint.
They gave you a mint. How lovely. I have some gum in my purse if you'd like.
Oh, we were in mint. It's like their business class. It's really nice. And
Meghan, I'm begging you to stop now.
Scrambling to assess what they knew, what was hidden, and what happens if the world starts demanding answers. Long before this alleged surrogate ever spoke, there were voices sounding the alarm. Voices that were mocked, dismissed, silenced. But now, those same voices are rising again, and this time, they're being taken seriously. Thomas Markle, Meghan's estranged father, has always questioned the narrative.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying style over here in the UK, which is unresolved. NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
Before we even get to the main event.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile.
From the beginning, he publicly wondered why he wasn't invited to key pregnancy milestones. Why wasn't he allowed to see scans, meet doctors, or be present during either birth? He was told to stay away. But now he's allegedly telling reporters, maybe I was kept away for a reason. Samantha Markle, Meghan's outspoken half-sister, didn't hold back even then.
Now, what's interesting about all of this is that we already know that Meghan Markle is actually trying to do whatever that she can do to fund her own programs, to fund her own projects as well. We already know that she has backup plans to actually fund her very own reality TV series if no other studio picks it up. We already know that she's trying to get MTV.
If we're going to use the word betrayal, it's because when I asked him, which is also a really key point in all this, they don't report the news, they create the news.
The royals owe me. Harry owes me. Meghan owes me. What I've been through, I should be rewarded for.
She called Meghan's media image a fabrication, a performance piece. Years ago, she went on record calling the entire pregnancy story a polished fantasy created for global consumption. Most wrote her off as bitter, petty, jealous. Now, people are rewatching those interviews, and suddenly, they don't sound so crazy. But it's not just interviews anymore. Rumors are swirling that Thomas and Samantha are preparing formal statements, not just to ride the media wave, but to set the record straight. Some insiders say Samantha has turned over archived texts. Others claim Thomas has agreed to appear on a major UK talk show for a tell-all. Even more disturbing, certain royal advisors are said to be quietly cooperating, suggesting the palace wants this out in the open, just not from them directly. The Markle family may have once been sidelined, but if this surrogate story is real, they could now become the loudest and most credible voices in the room. Publicly, Buckingham Palace remains tight-lipped. Not a single quote, not a single comment. But behind those gilded gates, the situation is reportedly boiling. According to multiple insider leaks, alarm bells have been ringing ever since the surrogate video surfaced. And now, whispers are growing louder that the monarchy has one demand: proof. Specifically, DNA proof. Quietly, discreetly, but urgently, sources claim the firm has begun exploring the legal process to verify the bloodline of Archie and Lilibet.
Why?
Because lineage isn't just symbolic, it's constitutional. It affects titles, inheritances, and the very foundation of succession. One source close to the palace allegedly said, "The monarchy can't afford uncertainty in bloodlines. Especially not now. Not after everything with Andrew. Not after Megxit. Not with Charles's reign already being tested." That statement sent a wave of panic through royal observers, because it signals something unprecedented. The crown is doubting its own heirs. Are hospital records being pulled? Are private royal doctors conducting an audit? Is Meghan being asked, off the record, to submit DNA proof? No one knows for sure, but everyone can see the signs. Events involving the children have reportedly been paused. Titles are being reviewed, invitations retracted, and while official statements remain silent, royal commentators say the palace's body language couldn't be clearer. They want answers, and they want them now. Because if it turns out Meghan hid the truth, the consequences won't be ceremonial. They'll be nuclear. For Meghan, it would mean total exile. For Harry, a devastating fracture from the only identity he has ever known, his blood. As headlines spiraled and speculation surged, Meghan responded, but not with a press release or a formal denial. Instead, she dropped an Instagram story, a throwback collage of her most iconic maternity moments. A carefully edited video of her smiling, cradling her bump, accompanied by a caption that simply read, "New life, pure love." But the timing was too convenient, the tone too polished. The intention? Clear. It was meant to shut the rumors down. But instead, it poured gasoline on the fire. Within hours, critics were dissecting the post frame by frame. The belly shape, the lighting, the angles. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. Commentators accused her of manipulating the narrative again, using old imagery to distract from new accusations. And notably, nowhere in the post did she mention the surrogate. Not once. No denial. No explanation. Just the same tightly packaged message she's used for years. "I'm a mother. I'm authentic. Trust me."
But the internet isn't buying it.
Not anymore. Body language experts analyzed the post. One noted how Meghan looked tense through the shoulders in the newer photos. Another said her expression looked rehearsed, not emotional. Even Meghan's signature phrases, like sacred and beautiful, were called out for sounding recycled. What should have been a reassurance backfired spectacularly. Because in the middle of the loudest scandal of her career, Meghan tried to stage a silent defense. And the silence? It was deafening. If Meghan thought one nostalgic post would calm the chaos, she underestimated the internet. The story didn't slow, it exploded. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, it was everywhere. And it wasn't just trending,
it was dominating.
Hashtags like #surrogate_scandal, #fake_bump, #where's the birth cert, and #DNA for the crown started snowballing. By the end of the day, one hashtag alone had over 45 million views. And TikTok? That became ground zero for amateur investigations. Creators were putting together timeline charts, frame-by-frame maternity photo breakdowns, even slow-motion footage of Meghan walking to question the sway of her bump.
It wasn't gossip.
It was a digital tribunal, and Meghan was on trial. Reddit communities that normally argued about royal fashion were now sourcing alleged whistleblower screenshots. Conspiracy threads resurfaced, amplified by the alleged surrogate's voice. Theories that had been buried since 2019 were now center stage, and they were gaining momentum. Supporters tried to push back. "It's all lies," they said. "It's misogyny. It's bullying." But their voices were drowned in a tidal wave of receipts, memes, and viral breakdowns. For every post defending Meghan, there were 5 more pointing to inconsistencies. The damage wasn't limited to image. PR insiders say sponsors began calling Meghan's team that very weekend. One brand quietly postponed an announcement featuring her voiceover. Another untagged her from an official campaign post. The message was clear. If this storm keeps growing, partnerships will start sinking. And all the while, Meghan said nothing. Not one word. But that didn't stop the world from talking louder. Beyond the palace walls and endless tabloid headlines, there's something even more valuable at stake. Meghan Markle's brand. The empire she spent years crafting, glossy, global, carefully positioned, is now in free fall. Because this wasn't just about royalty. Meghan built an entire identity on authenticity, motherhood, resilience. She wasn't just a duchess. She was a modern role model, a speaker at conferences, a podcast host for Spotify, a global brand ambassador, a woman who said, "I'm just like you. I'm a mother, a wife, a survivor." Her story sold books, landed millions in deals, shaped her image as one of the most talked about women on the planet. But now, that image is collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. PR insiders are in crisis mode. Behind the scenes, brand partners are reportedly panicking. A senior rep from a major fashion label allegedly said, "We backed a royal mom, not a cover-up." Deals that once seemed like no-brainers are being put under legal review. Product launches are being delayed. Sponsorship contracts are being combed through for exit clauses. And Meghan's team? Total lockdown. No statements. No press appearances. Even her closest allies have gone quiet. A source close to her comm staff reportedly admitted, "We don't have a playbook for this. We weren't expecting this." The silence isn't calming things. It's amplifying them. Because when your brand is built on honesty, visibility, and empowerment, and you disappear when things get ugly, the world notices. And for Meghan, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the surrogate story sticks, if it becomes the dominant narrative, it won't just be the end of a headline cycle. It could be the end of her as a marketable public figure. The message from sponsors is clear. The brand is only as strong as the truth it's built on.
And right now,
that truth is in free fall. The walls are closing in.
Fast.
And as each hour passes without a response, the question shifts from, is this real? To, what's about to happen next? Because if the palace pushes forward, as insiders claim they already are, there's one unavoidable outcome. DNA testing. Quiet. Official. Final. If the firm invokes its authority to demand lineage confirmation, the entire illusion could come crashing down overnight. And that's just the beginning. If legal action follows, either to challenge titles, revoke succession rights, or hold Meghan accountable for falsified documentation, then this will become more than a scandal. It'll become a constitutional crisis. But that's not even the worst-case scenario. What if the surrogate speaks publicly? What if she sits down for a televised interview with a global broadcaster? What if she produces documentation, messages, photos, hospital records? If that happens, no PR spin in the world will matter. The fallout wouldn't stop with Meghan. Harry would be pulled into the storm. Questions would swirl about how much he knew, whether he was deceived or complicit. The children, Archie and Lilibet, would become the center of an unprecedented royal controversy. Their very status as heirs could be challenged. And the monarchy? Already fragile after the Queen's passing, rocked by years of scandal, battling irrelevance in a digital age, would face a reckoning. Because if it turns out the crown was duped at this level, faith in the institution would evaporate. This isn't just a rumor anymore. This is a loaded weapon aimed at the heart of the royal narrative. And it's ticking. Every hour of silence pushes the countdown forward. Every new whisper fuels the fire. And when this explodes, and it will, the monarchy won't just be bruised. It may be broken. One woman, one confession, one carefully constructed lie, allegedly unraveling under global scrutiny. Meghan Markle built her empire on reinvention. But if this surrogate story sticks, it won't be reinvention the world remembers. It will be deception, and a legacy built on betrayal.